What's up, YouTube? This is Galactic God, and I'm coming at you with a deck profile today on Elemental Hero Neos deck that I've been working on for quite a few weeks now. I'm doing this in conjunction with the Underground members. I'm going to have a link to their channel somewhere down here at the bottom of the video, so make sure you guys check them out. They're pretty much a group that likes to showcase original decks and duelists that kind of come up with them. So if you have an original deck idea, make sure you contact them and maybe you can feature it on their channel. Okay, I'm going to get kind of right into the deck list and then move on to how the combos kind of work towards the end. First, I just kind of want to say that this deck was kind of inspired by the new card that just came out in Photon Shockwave, Champions Vigilance. This is kind of a really neat, cool new kind of card. Basically, what this card does is it has an effect that says if you control a face-up level 7 or higher normal monster, when a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap card is activated, negate the summon or the activation and destroy that card. So it's kind of everything destruction as long as you have some kind of a normal monster level 7 or higher that can be on the field. And so for my deck, I've kind of decided to use Neos as that catalyst. So anyways, on to the actual deck list. We have 2 copies of Elemental Hero Neos, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Neos Alius. Now, some people might be kind of shocked that I'm only using 1 Alius, but the deck's not really centered or based around him, so he's not really needed as much, I think, in the combos. 1 Stratos, 2 Elemental Hero Prisma, kind of real boss monster of the deck, I guess you could say. Works out really well. We also have 1, 2, 3 Destiny Hero Diamond Dudes, 1 Destiny Hero Dasher. This is in there for another D-draw target, and if you happen to draw into your Elemental Hero Neos, which is probably the last thing you ever want to do in this deck, you can still special summon them out with Dasher's effect, so that kind of helps out there. We also playing 2 copies of Summoner Monk. Great for Destiny Heroes and E-Heroes. You can, play your Summoner Monk out, grab a Stratos, get a card, then exceed up, or, ditch a card, bring out Destiny Hero Diamond Dude, mill the top card. Hopefully it's a normal spell card, and you will get that effect next turn too, so very cool. Good ways to plus. We also have 1 copy of Elemental Hero Neos, I'm sorry, not Elemental Hero, but just Neo-Spacian Grand Mole. This is in our Divine Neos play. Plus, it kind of helps get around pesky synchros or exceed monsters that are a little bit more harder to get rid of. And then finally, 1 BLS, because we have a crap ton of light and dark monsters in here. BLS works out good, and that's the end of our monster count. Okay, now some of you might have noticed that it is kind of a low monster count. Now we tried to, get around that by having not only 3 Pot of Dualities, but we also have 1, 2, 3 emergency calls, 1 reinforcement of the army. So we have, if we don't draw into a monster, we actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other cards that can help us tutor into monsters. So the monster count card does not need to be that high because we're constantly drawing into other stuff that can be used to grab the monsters. Plus, all these things are great targets for Destiny Hero Diamond Dude to help you plus. They're all normal spells. In addition, if you don't need one of these cards at the time, you can always discard it for Summoner Monk's effect. So if you don't really need that card right then, you don't need to worry about it. Plus, we're having 2 Destiny draws. This works good with both Destiny Hero Diamond Dude, the D heroes in your hand, or the Summoner Monk if you need to get rid of it that way. We have 2 Oversouls. I've toyed around with having 3 copies of Oversoul in there, but 2 I think seems to work pretty good. You can reborn your Elemental Hero Neoses or your Neos Alius since he's considered a normal monster in the graveyard. We also have 2 copies of the Wrath of Neos. This is definitely a pretty cool card. It's got an effect that says select 1 face-up Elemental Hero Neos you control, return it to the deck, and then destroy all other cards on the field. Very cool. We'll get kind of into how this works in a second. We also have 2 copies of Miracle Fusion, 1 copy of Future Fusion, 2 copies of Super Polymerization, Monster Reborn, Heavy Storm, Dark Hole. And that's going to round up all of our spell count, which is quite a lot. Going into traps, we of course got our 2 copies of Champion's Vigilance, 2 Solemn Warnings, and then 1 copy of Hero Blast. Now I have messed around with having more than 1 copy of Hero Blast in here, but really your main target to grabbing a card back is Elemental Hero Neos, and you really don't want him in your hand. That's why it's always best to grab the Alius if he's in there. But so we're just sticking with 1 for now. Alright, for our extra deck, we have Elemental Hero Divine Neos. This is usually my first target if it's able to for future fusion. This lets me throw 5 cards into the graveyard. So you're able to ditch your Grand Mole plus a Neos card, which would be Elemental Hero Neos, and then 3 other hero monsters, including D heroes if you need to. So if you have, BLS in your hand, you can ditch, a Destiny Hero monster in there as well to kind of offset, your light and dark ratio. So very cool. We're also playing Elemental Hero Neos Knight. I've chosen this one to use for the Prisma target for Elemental Hero Neos because the only other material that's needed is a warrior type monster. So if I need to make him for some reason, all I need is another warrior, so I could use the Destiny Heroes, or if my opponent has some kind of warrior on the field, I can grab that with him with Super Poly. And we also have Elemental Hero Gaia, Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, 2 copies of Elemental Hero The Shining, because there's so many light monsters in there, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Great Tornado, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Nova Master, 1 Vision Hero Adoration, 1 Vision Hero Trinity. The Vision Heroes are in here because, they're just hero monsters that are needed to discard for either Super Poly or Future Fusion. So if I can't make Divine Neos because maybe I drew into my Grand Mole already, you can use this card right here to ditch just 3 hero monsters. Very cool. And then finally, rounding up the end of the fusions in the extra deck, we have Dragon Knight Draco Quest. Very good for the Super Poly plays. If your opponent's got a pesky friggin' Stardust or whatever on the other side of the field that you're having trouble getting around, just absorb it up in any of your hero monsters and get this big fool on the field. We're also having 2 copies of number 39 Utopia, and then 2 copies of Steel Swarm Roach to round up the extra deck. Okay, for some of the more basic combos, what we have here is Elemental Hero Prisma, who will then use his effect to ditch Elemental Hero Neos to the graveyard, thus his name becomes Elemental Hero Neos. You then activate Wrath of Neos to send him back into the deck, thus destroying all cards on the field, including your opponent's. So they wipe their field clean. You then play Oversoul, reborn your Elemental Hero Neos, smack them right into the face for a good 25 attack points. Then if you need to, you can set either 1 or 2 of your Champion's Vigilance. And essentially they're stuck. They can't really get around this. This is a hard comeback. You have 2 ways of, negating just about anything they're going to do. It's very cool. Or if you have just 1, you just set your 1, whatever you got. You could also summon Summoner Monk, ditch for his effect, bring out Prisma, dump Neos, exceed over into Still Swarm, Oversoul or Monster Reborn, your Neos Knight. You got negation for summoning and Neos, pretty big beater on the field. Of course, then you could set some of your Champion's Vigilance, if you have however many you have. And now you're sitting pretty good. Okay, you could also summon Summoner Monk, ditch to bring out Destiny Hero Diamond Dude, mill for Diamond Dude's effect, get whatever card he mills off the top, in this case D-Draw I guess, overlay, maybe something like Utopia. Now you've got Lights and Darks going to the graveyard too in case you got BLS, plus you got Utopia on the field, or if you feel more confident you can actually go right into Roach as well. Getting 2 cards the next turn, very useful. Okay, so that about does it for my Elemental Hero Neos deck build. I've been testing this deck out quite a bit over on Dueling Network, so if some of you wish to come and try this deck out against me up on Dueling Network, I would be happy to do so. My Dueling Network name is just Galactic God with no spaces in it at all. And I guess that's about it for now. Make sure you guys check out the Underground down here at the bottom. Leave me a comment on what you guys think of the deck, how you think it works, what I could do to improve it, all that kind of good stuff. And I guess that's it for now. This is Galactic God, out.